Hello and welcome back. I got a little bit scared there. But yeah. Hello and welcome back to Better Than Adventure. Last time I talked about some stuff. Today I'm gonna continue playing video games. Yeah. Better Than Adventure. So, one thing which I was thinking about was, you've probably played your own, like, assortment of video games, right? Well, have you ever found a game that kinda sucked, but you still enjoyed it? Have you ever found a game that by no, like, if you were trying to write a, like, that by no means you could objectively defend, if that makes sense, right? Like, you couldn't argue that it's as smooth, as polished, but you still really like it? You, my friend, have found a game you like. And let me tell you something. If you truly, genuinely enjoy a game, I feel like it's weak to, you know, just say, oh, I like it even if it's bad. No. What you should say is, I don't care. Oh, shit. Well, that's a problem. What you need to say is, I don't care what you think about this game, because I like it. The reason for this is because for many years online, it's been popular to shit on games that don't really have any significant issues with them. And because of that reason, I feel like it's only fair to actually fight with your words and choose to defend the things you enjoy. Like, I mean, we've seen games that are, like, so comically bad that, you will have people decades in the future making fun of them. Stuff like Sonic 06, you know? Was Sonic 06 the worst game ever made? No, it wasn't. It was nowhere near, like, the worst game of the generation. It was nowhere near the worst game ever made. But it was still pretty shitty. And I feel like that's, sort of a reputation thing, you know? Sonic had, at the time, a reputation to uphold. It kind of has that part of it back these days, though. Sonic, no, kind of again has a reputation for making games which don't suck. Which is good. But yeah, back in the day, I feel like Sonic specifically had this sort of aura of, shitty games with him. And I feel like, at least for a time, that kind of made it so, this wave of ironically liking things started to, sort of manifest itself. What I mean by this is somebody defending a game that they think is bad purely because... Sorry, somebody defending a game they like, but because they know people think it's bad, they can't just say, I like this game, even though a lot of people don't like it. They have to say, I like this game, even though it's bad. And, as was my thesis, that's weak. No, I think, straight up, you should just be honest and say, hey, I don't care that you think this game sucks, because I like it. And that's kind of the whole idea. Be straight up with people. Be honest. You don't have to only like games that other people like. And I feel like that's a part of it, definitely, because people just kind of really enjoy having a kind of community. And if you like a game which other people think sucks, well, you're not going to be able to share the fact that you're a fan with other people, because they may make fun of you. It's kind of... I've seen people... Oh my god, stop. Sort of reflexively do that with Crimson Desert. If you've ever heard of that game, it was a fairly recent release where it's not the best game. It's like a single-player MMO, and if you know anything about games classified as single-player MMOs, you may know that a lot of people don't really like them. Because the issue with the single-player MMO is basically just that, it, has a lot of things in it which people dislike, you know? The random sort of quests you have to do, the random busy work, the really slow, like, meandering stories, that sort of stuff. The thing is that, like, MMOs are... Oh, I forgot to power that one rail. And I still passed through it because, yeah. I'm gonna have to fix that. But yeah, the issue is that, basically, MMOs are designed around sort of being, like, chat rooms, which you can also, you know, play games in. And because of that, their quests and stuff aren't really designed around a strictly, like, gripping narrative. So when you try to translate that kind of MMO thing into... Oh, no. Fuck it, I'm coming back for it. No! Okay, let's try that again. When you try to turn an MMO into, like, an actual, like, single-player game, you have to change the way you design your story. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's not like the game is objectively terrible. It's just not that good. But I've still seen people defend it. And it is kind of funny. Because, it's not the best game. I'll give you that. And, it's funny. Because, you know, like, IGN gave it, like, a 6. And every single time this happens, every single time IGN doesn't give a game which people like a high score, they're gonna find a game which they themselves dislike that IGN didn't. And by IGN, I mean whatever guy reviewed the game at IGN, not IGN itself. So, like, they're gonna show them the review of Concord, and they're like, hey, but you gave Concord a mediocre score. Yeah, because... people, like, I don't know if you know this, but people assume Concord was bad because it had, like, I think at least one woman in it? But no, Concord was just really mediocre and, like, way overpriced for what it was, so nobody fucking played it, and that's why the game died. The game itself was so mediocre that it wasn't even worth checking out as a novelty, especially at the price it released for. But you know, everything you have to be disingenuous in order to defend the agenda. So, how dare IGN give this game the low score when they gave the woman game a high score? Honestly, my real problem with IGN is that they didn't give The Last of Us a 3. The first one. The second one should get a 1. It's just like, man, I really feel like The Last of Us held gaming back for like a decade. It's a situation where if I could choose to either kill Breath of the Wild or The Last of Us, I've seen every single universe that could hypothetically exist. In every single one of them, Breath of the Wild not being there is going to have way less positive consequences than if there was no Last of Us. And because of that, yeah. I should probably go into detail. I thought about making a video on this, but that would require me to, like, fucking get my PS4 back online, load up the fucking Last of Us remaster, record myself playing it, and bringing myself to playing The Last of Us again. That's not happening. Yeah. The issue with The Last of Us, and this is a pretty big issue, it's very much a mediocre TV movie disguised as a video game. You see, the thing which makes, like, Hideo Kojima's games good, like, for instance, well, I have no idea about anything Death Stranding related. I think I have one of the games on Epic. I've never played it. Like with the Metal Gear games, right? A part of the appeal is that the games themselves have, like, fun gameplay and a pretty gripping narrative. But the issue is, The Last of Us has a relatively, like, mediocre story or whatever. But if you look at what the game is, you know, past just, oh, the story, what you have is a zombie game. Oh my god. What you have is a zombie game, which is, kind of mediocre. Like, the story itself is, like, gripping. But that's all there is. There's the story, which is good by video game standards, not particularly good by, like, okay, so I have to add, like, an extra... I'm gonna have to, like... Yeah, wait, if I remove these... after the corner... So, yeah, can I... Okay, I'll have to test it autonomously. Oh, shit. Ah, okay. That tends to happen sometimes. Okay, let me see. Will this actually work the way I want it to work? Slow down? Nope. Okay, maybe. I'll put these back, and then add another break. I mean, that goes. But I feel like what's gonna happen is that, the minecart is not going to actually... We can try it out like this, you know? If I send this out and this out, I bet you that minecart is gonna, like, blow through the first one. Or I guess not blow through, right? Yeah, yeah. See, now I stop here fine. But this guy doesn't. So maybe what I can do is this. Yeah, because the issue is, I need to slow down the empty minecarts and the full minecarts. Like, okay, this works fine. And with myself, it also works fine. I guess I'll have to do a bit more testing. So once more, go down. Let's head down. Because yeah, the issue is that this minecart slides down just fast enough that it activates the... Yeah, okay. So now we've stopped here. And if I hit this, it goes off. Perfectly fine. And yeah, okay. So once more, if we head back up, also, yeah, look, we're faster because we're inside of here, so we carry more weight. We stop, and it stops. Okay! We did it! Now, the only thing left to do is to make, like, a little bridge over this. Kinda like this? Yeah, no, but we'd clip the, like, playhead in this, so... Like that? Yeah. Because then you could have it like, this sort of slabs. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I mean, look. I think that, you should genuinely defend the games you enjoy. Even if you know that they may not be high quality. Like, I don't care that you think that a game is actually good. Because if you did enjoy it, I mean, granted, maybe you like things that are bad. Maybe you're a hipster. But for most people, I feel like you can really gain a lot, even if you just have a discussion with somebody about a game which you think sucks, but they like. Because if there's a game which at least someone out there likes, then surely there's at least one thing about it that is, you know, making that game interesting to that one person. And then one thing could be really stupid. The person could like a game because the person could like playing like GTA 2 because I mean people like GTA 2 or whatever, right? Obviously it's a old GTA game, but if somebody could say, "Oh yeah, I like GTA, one of the GTAs because you can run over Elvis." And that's a really stupid reason to like a game, but hey, it is a reason. And you know, you can glean a lot of interesting information just off of that. I feel like the recent sort of wave of attacks against like genuine interest for stuff has really harmed gaming discussion as a whole because you're just not allowed to like things anymore, you know? Like back in the day, people were actually like arguing over Sonic the Hedgehog. These days, people don't even do that anymore. At least back in the day, Sonic fans would like, at least back in the day, when a Sonic fan was defending a game they liked, they had arguments which could be, at least to some people, convincing. These days, whenever there's a debate or an argument over if a game is good or bad, even when the game being discussed is like maybe 1/100th as bad as Sonic 06 was, people just look at you like that scene from The Whale. They don't even make an argument anymore. I feel like a part of this is like fandoms and stuff where, like back in the day, people had a lot more exposure to different opinions and such. These days, it's so easy to be sitting in like a little cozy bubble of the people who already agree with you that it's kind of hard for video game people to sometimes realize that they're alone, especially with social media platforms being the way they are. Like, I don't have a TikTok account, and if I ever make one, it means I've gone, you know, it means I'm fucking gone. It means something in me has broken. And because of that, I feel like, you know, there's a disconnect between somebody like me who doesn't like TikTok and between a lot of younger people who fucking breathe TikTok. People who spend hours upon hours upon hours just watching short form content, something which I would never fucking do. And those people are going to experience things and like watch videos on the very same games which I love, but their experience of them will be completely different because they're experiencing them on a platform which I have no care for. I'm never gonna go on TikTok and see what people talk about, you know, for the games I like. And, you know, I'm sorry, but that's just how it's gonna stay. And I'm never gonna know what they have to say about them. And for me, I mean, that's fine. But it builds a disconnect. A disconnect which will just keep existing until it eventually, like, bubbles up and people argue about it. I mean, there's a whole wave of fans from TikTok who don't play Resident Evil, but consider themselves fans of Resident Evil. If such a thing was being discussed on the, let's call it the old internet, right, where we are, like, those people would have been laughed out of the room years ago. But the situation just kind of festered to a point now where people just don't want to admit that they're wrong. And the solution is really simple, you know, with Resident Evil. Play the game. They're fucking super cheap on, like, the originals are super cheap in GOG. You can play them on literally anything. Like, there are kids in the third fucking world where the only device which they have access to is like a Huawei Y6 or something or other. And they're playing all sorts of old games, they're having all sorts of fun. And then you have people in the first world tweeting from their, like, newest gaming rig, an iPhone, from their suburban house with their suburban cat and suburban dog. Oh yeah, well, isn't it privileged to expect people to have, you know, whatever. It's just a lot of whining. And maybe I'm whining, but I'm whining about people whining. So I feel like that's a bit different. Maybe that's just how I convince myself. But, look. Is it that hard to ask people to play the games they claim to like? I mean, I am kind of going against my own arguments by... I guess Let's Plays do go against the idea that you should, play the game. But for fuck's sake, man, I'm playing better than Adventure. Surely you've if you've been watching this series, you've been at least interested enough to check the game out. If nothing else, I mean, check the mod out. Oh, oops. Because, it's sort of kinda half the point of these videos is to have fun and be myself, and the other half is to interest people in also experiencing the thing that I'm playing. But it is what it is. You're never gonna be able to convince people, and I know I'm never gonna be able to convince people. The amount of videos... The amount of videos which I've made that have tried unsuccessfully to, convince people is kind of crazy. Because, I've done my whole retro stuff for a decent chunk of time now. And what you gotta realize is that, what I kind of quickly realized is those videos are not being made for people who disagree with me. Those videos are mostly being made for people who are actually open to the discussion, Trying to make videos for people who disagree with you is gonna get you nowhere, especially these days. Because the demographic of people who disagrees with you, and the demographic of people who is willing to have their minds changed by a video which somebody who they disagree with already made, is basically, there's no crossover, I mean, we've seen this with a lot of stuff. It's kind of like how, as of late, I've never been a fan of Tears of the Kingdom or whatever, the open Zelda games. I'm sorry. And I've just not ever really commented on that, because the discussion always gets so toxic and vile that it's just like, no thank you. There was recently this interesting video about how the Gerudo were kinda, at least their original depictions, were kinda sussy. And I was like, oh yeah, when I saw that video, I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute, this is an interesting idea for a video. I'm gonna click on it because, hey, I know that there was that whole situation where they had, like, Arabic chanting as the background for, like, what are the songs in Ocarina of Time, and they had to apologize and remove it. And so I watched the video and think to myself, yeah, well, I agree with most of it, but I feel like picking a bone with the fact the scimitar isn't an actually, like, historically accurate sword. It makes sense if this was, like, an actual, like, depiction of the Middle East. But I feel like, considering it's Zelda, I feel like we should have a bit more leeway, And that was my take. And then I go on the internet, and people are acting like the person who made the video, and the, like, Skitty Bitty. People are acting like they're some evil Zelda destroyer, and not like their entire channel is just Zelda, 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 Zelda. Because these days, you're just not allowed to, you're not allowed to like things, you're not allowed to dislike things, you're not allowed to, like, vague post, you're not allowed to specific post. Somebody is always going to have a problem with it. And that pushes a lot of people, like me, sort of away from all of that. Even though there's, like, a correct, like, skitty-shaped side to the debate, and then incorrect, like, chud-shaped side to the debate. Even though that's true, yes, there's a correct and wrong side, I just don't want to engage with it, because it's not a hill that I really want to die on. It's, like, it's just, And I would talk about it more if it mattered more to me, but it's like, yeah, do I... Actually, I'm gonna move these here. Like, do I actually really care about the Gerudo depictions in Ocarina of Time and like the other Zelda games? Or maybe a bit, but like not enough to argue with strangers online about it. Do I think it's important for video games not to like have weirdo stereotypes of characters in them? Yeah, of course, but like I don't want to spend a shitload of time arguing about that with people online who do not ever want to have their minds changed. If we're just talking about it, that's one thing, but you gotta realize most people never just want to talk about something. It's always, just wanting to win the argument. And you're never gonna get far with these kinds of people. Okay, so we do arrive at a place where I can actually dismount. So then I'll remove these and give myself a way down. And another thing is that it's important to talk about, but it's also really hard to talk about it because it's that issue again where the moment you touch like any kind of advocacy thing, it's like, you're touching the poop and now you smell like advocacy. And now it's something that's gonna follow you wherever you go. And for that reason, a lot of people just, like, especially YouTubers who want to appeal to a larger audience, I mentioned this, I think, in some other videos, but people will gravitate away from that. Maybe they care about a lot of the topics which they would normally support, but when you're a YouTuber, when you are sustained by your viewership, it brings ad revenue. What if you, like, if you piss off someone who's like a higher tier Patreon on Patreon, which I don't have, to clarify, that's like less money for you this month, and I'm fucking, it's 2026, money is kind of tight. I know, like, you may have your principles, but I'm gonna be honest with you, like, a lot of people will look at it and they're gonna say, like, well, they are just petty internet squabbles. Maybe, like, I do care about this topic, but, look, I can't really afford to argue with, these people online. I don't want the drama, so yeah, I guess I'm just gonna kind of let it go. And then it spreads. Because now the people are emboldened, they think they've won. And it's, that sort of thing where nobody really wants to deal with that, because whenever somebody does decide to take the bull by the horns, then their entire career turns into those kinds of things, and congratulations, you're never gonna be able to do normal, like, videos again. Maybe you really loved doing, videos where you're doing this or that. Well, guess what? Now, your entire fan base is gonna come to you for your political stuff, and now, the old fan base may still watch you, but they're gonna be interested in different things, and, now you're kind of stuck doing that. And so people fall back. They just realize, okay, look, I care about this, but it's my livelihood, so I'm sadly not gonna be able to do this, Or maybe they do it in a way that is more implicit and less explicit. But the key solution, I feel, is by far the simplest one, and is that from the very beginning, you should ensure, like, that you only get the fans that you actually want to keep. Like, you want to ensure that you're not getting, like, chuds or whatever in your audience. You want to, like, sweep them away as they come up. And that way, whenever you get larger, any kind of advocacy for anything ever is going to just kind of come naturally, and you're not gonna feel like you're at risk of, like, losing food on the table. And, I mean, I'm technically going in that direction, except I'm not a real YouTuber. That would require me to actually, want to do YouTube full-time, which, dear God, I couldn't imagine a less stable job. I mean, I could probably get a decent chunk of change out of YouTube if I started uploading, like, retro gaming stuff. wouldn't be ashamed to try, like, content maxing one day, just for a time, to see what kind of potential I could have. But, like, I don't know. I feel like my heart is always in the place of this being a hobby, and by making it a game, I feel like I could kind of... By making it a job, it's like... I feel like I would lose a part of what I would find fun, right? Because if it's a hobby, I can make Let's Plays of Minecraft in 2026. If it's a job, I need to find videos that will, you know, I need to find topics that I can cover. Okay, I have to work on this, I have to work on that. And the moment it becomes a job, it's like... shit. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's sort of the issue. Yeah. I mean, it does result in some stupid things happening, like me not touching a Let's Play for like over a year, or longer. But yeah, overall, I think that I'm in a much better position, at least like mentally, than if this was a job. If this is, like, I would be genuinely the happiest if, in the future, obviously not now, but, like, theoretically, if I could keep this as a hobby forever, that'd be good. And I have considered monetizing it, but the more you do that stuff, the more you sort of have to invest into the channel. Like, you can imagine if I started a Patreon, right? And if I monetize the channel... Well, first of all, if I just monetize the channel, that would give me a vested interest in pumping out content. If I went a step further, if I did a Patreon or a Ko-fi or whatever people do these days, I would end up having to then, you know, meet the obligations, because otherwise people will be mad at me. And if I'm already doing that, if I'm already pumping stuff out like for Patreon, was that, like, you know, I'm already so close to just being full-time, I may fucking do it full-time as well, if I make enough money. And it's that sort of issue. Also, I never really looked into ad rates across the world. I hope the EU ad rates are good. I don't know. I looked into it. If I theoretically uploaded, like, 20,000 viewed videos daily, that'd be an interesting thing. But yeah, we're still really far away from that, and I don't think it's ever going to really be achievable on this channel, so... I don't know. We'll see. Oh yeah, what I could do is I could, because I just landed here. So would it not be a nice thing to have, like, a button down there? That's why you should be testing these things more, you know? Adding a second button in here so that when I, like, fly down, I can, oops. Easily... Wait, no, it has to be this, so it's easier to tell. Oops. Broke that. And it still functions. Okay. So yeah, wait, if I do this, right? So if I'm down here, then yeah, I hit this. Oh, one of those is placed wrong. I've just seen that. Somebody's already been probably screaming at me for a few episodes. Hey, one of these is incorrect. I've just noticed it now, don't worry. Maybe it was Herobrine. You dastardly... Oh, no. I have a second minecart. Come back here. Ha. Did you see that I'm still in the minecart. Okay, and then we hit the button. We continue up. It's still darker than I would hope, but yeah. And here we are! The idea is later on I'm gonna connect this up here with the mine system. So ideally, the plan would be to have like a sort of elevator here, like not a real elevator, but the minecarts would maybe be able to be funneled from here all the way up to the surface. So I could just be mining and sending minecarts, which are gonna make their way up the tracks all the way. This is why these guys are here. It's so I can ensure that they can always pass, like, correctly. And even if they get grouped up into the same block, which can cause some bugs and issues, if I set up the rail system correctly, they're just going to be able to be deposited into, like, a big space, and then nothing bad will happen. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. I'd like to thank you for watching. And I'll, see you next time. I am really happy with how this little junction turned out. I'm gonna take some screenshots of this for later. See you then. Goodbye.